You wanted to do it differently.
Yeah, I wanted to do it differently.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to do it different. Remember, I come from, my background is non-Christian. I'm a Christian from a young age, yes, but I come from a non-Christian background, where my uncles, very, very, very woman loving,
Okay.
So, and the way I grew up, even with my setup with my parents, I just didn't want that for me. I didn't want it. I just had this belief that there has to be a better way, yeah.
There's actually a theory that I have, speaking of theories,
yeah,
that you are the source of your own problems and not your past. For example, you saw your uncles loving women and you decided that you wanted something different. But someone may say that the reason why they are a womanizer is because they grew up in watching their parents or their uncles being a womanizer. What can you say about that?
Yeah, I'd say I'm a grown-up man now, and what I have learned, or rather the philosophy that I have adopted, is that if you grew up in a particular way and maybe it wasn't pleasing to you, let's say, for an example, you grew up, let's say your father was absent.
Yeah.
You owe it to your children to be present, to undo, not necessarily undo. Okay, let me just put it this way. It would be selfish of you to make your children grow up the same way that you despised. Your childhood experiences should be far from your children's upbringing. You should make sure, if you didn't like how you were treated as a child or how your setup was, the onus is upon you to create a different environment for your family. And if you allow it to persist, I think it's a bit selfish of you, because you're like, okay, I went through this pain. It wasn't enough that I went through it. The people that I gave birth to, who had no word, had no say in the matter. You brought them into this world and you causing them to go through the very same pain or hardship that you went through. I think that's a bit selfish,
It's selfish to let your children go through the same challenges that you went through and you despised.
Especially if you have a say in the matter. Like, for an example, you have a say on who you choose to marry. You have a say, I mean, there are no guarantees, yes, in life. But doing your part puts you at an advantage already. Doing your part, doing your best, it's already set you up for you have a slightly better chance of making it, because you have done your part. Of course, for every rule, there are exceptions, but I think on our previous episode, I said, there are no guarantees, but when push comes to shove, at least be satisfied that you tried your best. You tried your best. So that's what drives me. I'm like, okay, things might not work out, but I am convinced that I gave it my all. Yeah.